here's what I'm worried about with the Wild. I'm going to ask you a question. You both. What do these teams have in common? Well, no, that's a stupid question. I'm just going to tell you. The Rangers, the Canucks, the Blue Jackets, the Sharks, the Kings, the Blackhawks, the Ducks, the Senators, the Devils, and the Red Wings. Those are the teams that are currently under the Wild in the standings. Which of those teams do you think are playing below their capability level? In other words, how is the Wild going to materially move down that lineup? Rangers, Canucks, Blue Jackets, Sharks. Okay, Sharks is the one team that I think is playing significantly below their. I mean, they're 3 points behind the Wild right now. Kings, Blackhawks, Ducks. I mean, Blackhawks, you figure, I mean, the veterans might have a run left in them, I guess, maybe. So maybe they can move up. Ducks.
They do this every 5 years, though. They tank.
Yes.
Then they throw some players around Taves and Kane. They come whoop our tail ends up here, win a cup. Then they tank. And they're playing us like a fiddle, the Blackhawks are.
Ducks, Senators are Jersey and Detroit, right? So maybe one, maybe two of those without a team going on a out of body experience for the last 50 games of the season, or enough of the last 50 games of the season to materially move up the standings. My point is, it's going to be difficult for the Wild to move down the standings just based on those teams. I mean, those are all shitty teams. Right. And look at another stat. So all those teams. So the Wild is sitting with a goals differential right now of -8. The only team in that group that has a positive goals differential is the Canucks. They're +3. Every other team is also a negative goals differential. So it's going to be really from what this run, I think, may have cost them a legit chance at winning the lottery.
No question about it. Yeah, without a doubt.
They can get lucky, a la the Rangers last season, right?
Well, not with Gary Bettman in office. Like, we're not going to get lucky. He rigs it. Blackhawks are getting the number 1 pick. We don't need to worry about it.
The only thing that's in the back of my mind, because you're right. No, I mean, you're absolutely right. But the only thing in the back of my mind is let's be clear. Minnesota's getting the Winter Classic next year, right? I mean, like, Russo cannot tease this any harder, but without saying it, because it hasn't officially been announced
yet.
We're
going to be awful and not sell it out and never get another one in our lives.
But that's why I wonder if we this would be the year to the Wild magically wins the lottery out of the 12th pick, 12th worst record or something like that, right? 9th worst record, right? Because then you can, the problem is, well, you would draft although if you're starting that high, winning the lottery, what's the max you can move up? Like 5 or 7 spots or something like that, right? You can't.
Third, I think.
If you're, yes, yeah. So I mean, you can't win it, but you're going to take like Lafreniere, so you're not going to get an American kid that NBC would want to focus on, and then Kaprizov is the other crown jewel. So you would still need to do some work. But that's the only thing in the back of my mind. If you can suspend disbelief into thinking that they rigged the lottery, which you don't have to work too hard to suspend that particular disbelief based on some of the outcomes we've seen over the last 10 years or so. Actually going back to
Pittsburgh.
Going back to Crosby, right? If you can suspend that disbelief that they somehow rigged the lottery, then that might be because otherwise it's a dead boring team. Like, you're going to sell the Winter Classic at Target Field in 2021 with a 47-year-old Freezy. Missing 3 vertebrae in his lower back.
Well, they're going to sell with Kaprizov, the new Russian that comes over. And then you're right. They might let us win the lottery to pair somebody with Kaprizov to ensure that he comes over, to ensure that their Winter Classic sells out. If we win the lottery, this is the reason we won it, period. End of story. We didn't get lucky. They just said, oh, no, we need to make this happen. We got to make some money over here.
Right. Exactly.
Has there been any buzz about who the opponent's going to be?
It's going to be the Blackhawks. They get everyone.
It's clearly going to be the Blackhawks. It's going to, yes. No, Russo was saying that St. Louis or maybe Winnipeg, but I don't know. But it won't.
I would pull for Winnipeg, but
I would. Like, the question is that what the TV guys want? Do they want to show a Twin Cities Winnipeg? They'll corner those two teams. They'll get high ratings in those two markets, but
well, and they'll sell the place out because Winnipeg will sell if they sell 45,000 tickets at Target Field, Winnipeg will buy 25,000 of them.
Right.
So here's my other bad thing to say that I still actually mean though. And Tony, I want to get your reaction to this first, but all these injuries lately, right? So like Mikko and now Zucker and Spurgeon and all these injuries that have all started creeping in. I mean, in a perverse, sick, twisted way. I mean, that's actually kind of good, right? I mean,
yeah, you're finding out what you got.
You might be nipping this run in the bud. Now, again, as we just talked about, maybe it's too late. But I made the joke on Twitter that it seemed like the hockey gods did want us to tank because they just, once we started getting hot, they just started injuring all of our players. But I don't want to root for anybody to get hurt at all, and I'm really not doing that or not trying to do that. I'm just saying that the byproduct of these injuries might actually be a positive thing in a weird. I mean, look, this isn't about this season. This is not a contender, regardless of what they just did in 12-1-4, whatever it was. They're still a contender.
So you're not buying Russo's take that the West is wide open?
Well, no, he knows better than me. Sure, I'll believe it's wide open. I just don't know that it's wide open for the Wild.
I mean, because there is this theory that the West is wide open and the Wild could be last year's St. Louis Blues. I don't know where I don't know where Tarasenko is in the lineup.
Yeah, exactly. Or O'Reilly, or Edmondson. Was he still on the team last year? No, Parayko. And I'll tell you what, none of the three guys we've had kicking pucks out for us so far this season is remotely possible. Remotely capable of doing what Bennington did last season.
Correct. That's fair.
That is the single biggest X factor in St. Louis's run last year, for sure.
Yeah. And God help Doobie. I hope his life gets better and everything gets good. But he's not the dude from St. Louis.
No.
So, Lonnie, to your deal though, to your point, I don't think that. I mean, yeah, the injuries could be a blessing in disguise, but they went 12-1-4 or whatever it was without Spurgeon for half of it, Mikko for half of it. They still won with those injuries, so it didn't even help or didn't even affect things. Because then Soucy starts playing like freaking Spurgeon and becomes a man-child, and Fiala is making us all rethink whether or not Paul Fenton was a decent GM. I still don't think so, but I mean, just kind of lightning in a bottle. But
I'm willing to give him Fiala at this point. I am. So they weren't all bad.
Boy. Yeah, it was his boy. Yeah.
I don't think the trade would. Although you gotta whatever. I'm not going to sit here and beatify Paul Fenton after I trash.
And Granny's been trash.
And that's what I was going to say, right? I mean, now you can argue that the trade looks a lot better overall. But look, wouldn't it be crazy if Granlund comes back after the season?
And we get him at a 40% discount? Exactly.
At which point, honestly, at which point, I'm not saying I would want him to be the GM still, but you got to at that point, it does change the calculus, the final analysis of Paul Fenton's reign of horror atop the Wild's organization.
From a player development standpoint, but from a people person standpoint, I think he made his bed there. So
no, for sure. Lonnie, where are you on this? I mean, like we've talked about what we want for the season. How do you evaluate this team just from what you see though?
I don't know. I think you guys bring up a good point with the injuries, because you take Jared Spurgeon's 23 minutes a night out of the lineup, if that void isn't there, then, that puts Carson Soucy back to 12 minutes a night or whatever he was getting. So, I mean, I think there's value in that. However, I don't know. I'm having a hard time getting away from wanting to see them draft high.
Yeah.
I don't feel a whole lot better about the team now than I did before they went on their run here. I try and make my judgments not to be so knee jerk and more from a high level, kind of a more of a time tested approach. And this to me just reeks of more of the same, of fighting, fighting tooth and nail, playing 40 playoff games the last half of the season to fight it out for that 7th or 8th spot. And I'm
losing 5.
I'm over
dog tired.
Yeah, I'm over that.
Yep. That is a far less acceptable outcome to me than finishing with the 5th worst record in the league.
Without a question. I got a question for you guys too. So with Koivu being out, do you think that this lends some credence, because they went 12-1-4 with him out of the lineup pretty much? Do you think this kind of refutes the whole bring him back as a third line center, or the Wild need him to win? Are we kind of over that for the years going forward? Do we just let him go after this year because you saw that they can win games without him, that they can play well without him?
So
that maybe Eck can be your shutdown guy going forward.
Yeah, this dovetails with my last point in the Wild was going to be anyway. So thanks for opening the door for me. But which is I think what this amounts to for me is it's giving us, and more importantly, Bill Guerin, an evaluation, a real time, real world evaluation of the players. This is, right now they should be thinking about 2 and 3 and 4 and 5 years from now, right? And in terms of when can you get the window open again, and because it's not open now, let's just be honest. And so the geek line is a revelation, and I credit Bruce with not just putting them together, but putting them together and putting them out there for key situations, partly out of necessity, and partly part of the necessity is driven by injury, like you said with Mikko, whatever. But he's giving Guerin that sort of that scouting opportunity, and regardless of whether, I mean, to your specific question, now knowing what we know, the only way I want Mikko back is if he's willing to sign for 1 year at a significantly lower cap hit than what he has now. Like if he's willing to come back for
probably, right?
Yeah, if he's coming, right. If he's willing to come back for $1 million or $2 million, then fine. Do you even offer that to him? Is that such a slap in the face that it's not worth offering? Maybe. And in that case, then I don't think I need him back. I mean, but is that a slap in the face? Like,
here's your option, dude. You can go home to Finland and live in your sauna, or we'll continue to pay you $1 million a year, $600K after taxes, or 1.2 after taxes if it's $2 million. Like, if that's a slap in the face, like, sign me up to get slapped in the face.
No, for sure. But if you're coming from 5 or whatever he's making now, I mean that's the thing, right? I mean, But so that's my bigger point though, is that we are getting to to see the kids play, and Bruce is able to give us that glimpse, and not all. I mean, like, look, Fiala's playing better, even Rask is playing better, Donato's playing better lately. Greenway, I really like Greenway's game lately. I mean, Susie, so and then I don't know that Jerry Mayhew's the future, but Kakkonen is, right. I mean, or we needed to be able to determine whether or not that he's the future. And granted, he gave up some softies and a heck of a lot of goals the last couple of outings, but he isn't NHL ready yet. But what we saw wasn't terrifying, right? So I don't know. I think that we're, even if I didn't want them to all be wins, it has as many wins in the last 20 games. What I did want was an opportunity to see what these kids are worth, and we did get that for better or for worse. Lonnie, what's your thought?
Are you trying to make me break out in hives?
Yes.